What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the PikiPikaPapa, and I can't believe all of the cool stuff that's going on in the Sun and Moon set right now. So, it's interesting. We are, and I'm guilty of this too, we have the squirrel effect, right? Where whatever's going on, we can be focused on it, then all of a sudden it's squirrel, something pulls our attention away from it. And I know that I, from a data perspective, can be very guilty of that. So I've been spending a lot of my data digging time on Sword and Shield. I've been doing a lot of my data digging time on Crown Zenith, right? I just did a video about that 2 days ago. So I haven't been looking at Sun and Moon that much, but I took some time this weekend to sit down and dig into it, and it is amazing stuff because I think that I'm not the only one. You're probably not the only one who isn't looking at it as hard as we were before, just because there's so many things going on in the market right now. But there might be some buying opportunities, and there certainly is some excitement going on with Sun and Moon, and I can't wait to share all of that with you. So I've got this video today. I'm going to talk about it later on, but I have another video just on the Sun and Moon single market, which is just going bonkers, that I'm probably going to drop, I think, on Wednesday. So anyways, let's get into it. Let's take a look at Sun and Moon, and why I have Sword and Shield up here as well is because we are going to look at it the same way we've been looking at Sword and Shield. So this is going to give us two different comparison points. It's always good to compare one to the other. That way we're not talking different languages or comparing apples to oranges. Sun and Moon is obviously much older than Sword and Shield, so it's going to be a little bit different, but at least we'll start using the same language, and over the long run, we'll be able to compare the two. With that being said, hey, listen, if you guys like this video, if you like what you're about to see, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, drop a comment down below. We are always talking about how we try and play chess when other people are playing checkers. Like, we're always talking about adding tools to our tool belt, and this is just one of the data functions that we use, and we just got a cool group of people together. Like, my subscribers are the best. I don't care who says it. I say they're the absolute best. All right, let's get into it. So now, this is where we're going to look at Sun and Moon performance for Sword and Shield, and this is only over the last couple months, okay? So that was the time frame that I looked at Sword and Shield. I want to make sure they did the same thing for Sun and Moon. So in the green column, that is booster box performance over the last couple months. So Sword and Shield has been on fire, unless you've been sleeping under a rock. You know that. It has been going crazy. So all the booster boxes in Sword and Shield over the last 2 months are up about 15%, which is just bonkers. Sun and Moon, on the other hand, is only up just a little over 2%. Now, it's a little bit of an older group, obviously. So the growth rate will be slow. Like, it can't grow 10, 15% month over month, quarter over quarter until eternity. It has to slow down at some point, or else the booster boxes are going to get to the point that nobody buys them, and then they come back down, right? Like, that's how markets work. But what was really interesting to me, look at the single prices. So Sword and Shield, newer set, just like we went through in the Crown Zenith video, like, a lot of the sets come out, the prices are super high, and then as products start to get open, as the market becomes more saturated with those products, it comes down. So Sword and Shield, average top 20 cards per set came down by about 2.7%, which I didn't think was too crazy. I thought that was reasonable, especially since there are some big chase cards in those sets that are relatively new, and those are starting to normalize a bit. So 2.7% coming down over the last couple months wasn't a big deal to me for Sword and Shield. But Sun and Moon's average top 20 across all 10 of its basic sets went up, 12 sets, went up 4.81%, almost 5% just over the last couple months. That is absolutely bonkers. I started off doing this video, and as I was doing the research, I was like, I have to do a whole video just on singles. Coming out later this week. Don't miss it. It's going to be cool. So what happens here is I use this metric where I look at the average of the top 20 cards versus the booster box price in order to tell me, is there buying opportunities? Because we all know singles prices, people buy booster boxes. Yes, on one hand, they buy them and keep them sealed just to say, hey, I have the sealed product, and there's going to be value in that over time. But people also buy these booster boxes in order to grip them and rip them and try and go after these big chase cards. Like, the chase cards in the set really are what drive the desirability of the set, which drive people to buy the booster boxes, right? So I have this crazy made-up theory that I have that the higher the average of the top 20 cards are in the set, the booster box price has to follow suit. So Sword and Shield booster box prices went up, average of the top 20 cards came down, so that ratio constricted. That's what happens. That was what we guessed would happen when we did our original video 3 months ago, and that was what actually happened when we sat back a couple weeks ago and we did the data dive and said, hey, over the last 2 months, how have things performed? It constricted just as we thought, because that's there's no other way to happen, right? Like, it's just got to happen. The interesting thing with Sun and Moon was the average to booster box ratio went up a little bit. And that's because there was so much price appreciation in the top 20 cards, the growth of booster box didn't keep up with it. Now, to me, that might mean there's a couple buying opportunities out there, right? Like if we see the booster box price drop and the single price go up, then that means that the market might not be reacting fast enough. Hey, booster box prices are coming down, but the singles are getting hot. Maybe that means that we should get in on these booster box prices while they're going down. Because at some point, people are going to realize, man, these singles are getting hot. I should really buy the booster box. So, lots of words, lots of talking, but that's the premise of this whole video. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at this the exact same way, as I said, as we did for the Sun and Moon sets. So we did not tier out Sun and Moon like we did Sword and Shield, but if we had 2 months ago, this is how it would have panned out. Ultra Prism, Burning Shadows, Cosmic Eclipse, and Unified Binds would have been our tier 1. Lost Thunder, Unbroken Bonds, Team Up, Forbidden Light would have been our tier 2. Sun and Moon, Celestial Storm, Guardian Rising, and Crimson Invasion would have been our tier 3. Now, the tiers don't necessarily indicate the collectability or desirability of those sets. Team Up obviously is fire, fire, fire when it comes to Sun and Moon. But this is based off, again, the price of the booster box versus the price of the average top 20 cards. Now, Team Up is obviously hot, but it's going for over $1,000 a box right now. You're going to see that in a few slides. So it's tier 2 because I don't know how much higher it can go. The math is telling me, yeah, it's hot, it's worth a lot, but I don't know. I'm looking for buying opportunities. I'm looking for opportunities to buy low and hold it and hopefully sell high at a future date. So that's why I use this. That's why you might be saying some of these sets are great. They shouldn't be in tier 2. They should be in tier 1, or some of these sets stink and shouldn't be in tier 1. It should be in tier 3. That's why they're ranked like this. Burning Shadows is a great example, okay? So we look at that, and from the average to booster box price, so the average of the top 20 cards versus the booster box price, that's a 10.21% ratio. So essentially easy math, if the average of the top 20 cards is $10 and the booster box price is $100, that's 10%, okay? Now, what is really driving Burning Shadows, it has that one secret Rainbow Charizard, which goes for like $420. The next highest priced card in Burning Shadows is, I think, $45, $48. We'll see it in the next couple slides. So one card is driving the average price of the Burning Shadows top 20 way up compared to the other ones. So that's giving it some kind of false reading, but again, you can't cherry pick data. If you use the data for one, you have to use the data for all. But maybe that's something we put an asterisk next to, or maybe it's something we discuss moving forward, but that's why we do these exercises. That's why we build all this out, so that we can start to look for trends and identifying it, and we can become better collectors and investors and spend our money as wisely as possible. Now, in the small numbers right here, if you saw the Sword and Shield set, you saw that the average booster box, where that ratio, the average top 20 versus booster box price, when it was greater than 16, the booster box prices gained on average about 22.5%, which is just bonkers. When it was lower than 16, the booster boxes still did good, but they only gained on average 7%. So we said, hey, maybe for newer series, like that 16 number is going to be the line of delineation. We're going to say, hey, if it's greater than 16, we feel like the market just has to buy more booster boxes because the price of the cards is disproportional to the price of the boxes. We will see. We need more data. We need more time, but that was what it looked like at our first attempt. So, are there buying opportunities here? Ultra Prism, the box price didn't go up that much. The average to booster box ratio was the highest of all of these. Up is up, but still compared to others, not that great. Now, does that mean that, hey, the market's not reacting to the price? Like, is this a buying opportunity? I don't know. Burning Shadows, we already talked about that. The booster box price came down. Again, I shared this before. I think that the danger in having one big chase card is that you're not going to buy a bunch of booster boxes to go after one chase card. No matter how crazy you think the pull rate is, one card, it's hard to justify going out and buying 3 booster boxes to try and pull one card. So booster box price came down. Cosmic Eclipse did good. Their singles are going nuts. Unified Minds again did good. Singles are going nuts. Middle tier, Team Up. I don't know if anything's ever going to stop Team Up. I mean, it just has to stop. People will stop buying relatively soon, I would think, but 12% up over the last couple months. I mean, up to over $1,000 a box. Unbroken Bonds price came down. Forbidden Light, the price came down. Lost Thunder price came up. Sun and Moon's down, but that has raised that average to booster box ratio. Now it's up to 6.41%. It was down to 4% when we did this first time. Celestial Storm is up. So again, I'm just trying to identify potential buying opportunities by looking at this math. Super interesting. So now what we're going to do in these next couple slides is we're going to say, okay, starting today, so we use this as a line in the sand moving forward, where would these sets rank based on their average to booster box price moving forward? So we'll start off with the tier 3, and just like in Sword and Shield, in Sun and Moon, the earlier sets, they're just not great performers, okay? So you see the Sun and Moon, the booster box price is down right near $200 again. You know, the average of the top 20 cards is about $14.55, so not a lot there. Guardians Rising's got a couple chase cards. Celestial Storm has a couple chase cards up there. Look at that, 173, 105. But the thing with Celestial Storm is look at the booster box price. So the booster box is already at $522. Again, I want to be clear. This is not identifying sets as good or bad. We use this math to try and identify buying opportunities. So what this is telling me is, yes, there's some great cards in Celestial Storm, but the booster box price might already have that baked into it since it's at $522 freaking dollars. So the math is telling me, you know, this is probably not the best opportunity. Doesn't mean it's not a good set, but there are other places where I will prefer to put my money because, again, buy low, sell high is the whole name of the game. You know, again, I think that a lot of people are focused on all of the newness that's going on in the market. Sword and Shield is coming to an end. Sword and Shield booster boxes are going crazy. I think a lot of people are focused on spending money in there, which could present some buying opportunities for Sun and Moon, right? Next one right here, this is tier 2. I talked about it, so I'm not going to continue to beat the dead horse, but Team Up is over $1,000 a box. It's up to $1,055. Again, look at all of that. I mean, those card prices are great. A $410 card, a $152 card, a $141 card. I mean, there's a lot of cards over $50 in Team Up. But man, I don't know, $1,000 a box. Even if I had $1,000 to buy a box, I wouldn't be doing it right now because I just don't know how much runway it has left. Forbidden Light, Lost Thunder, Unbroken Bonds, you know, the ratio starts to get a little bit wider there. There's a pretty big jump between Team Up and those other three, especially between Team Up and Unbroken Bonds. There's almost a 2% jump right there. But Forbidden Light and Unbroken Bonds, the booster box price has been coming down and the singles prices have been going up. Again, this is where we are going to be playing chess when other people are playing checkers. If booster box prices are going down, single prices are going up, that might mean it's a good buying opportunity for us, right? So Forbidden Light coming in at less than $300 a booster box. Unbroken Bonds is high. I mean, that's still like $500 a booster box, but Forbidden Light might be somewhere where I say, hey, you know, when I see these diverging numbers, singles going up, booster box coming down, maybe it's time to splash some cash and buy in there. These are also mid to late sets, which we've seen do well in Sword and Shield, and Sun and Moon has done really well too. So that's another thing to remember as we pivot into Scarlet and Violet. So the next one, these are the tier 1s. And again, this is only indicative of the price of the cards versus the price of the booster box. So is there potential buying opportunities here? We shall see. Burning Shadows, this is the exact example I was talking about. You see that number 1 card is at $421.40, and then the second highest card is down at $48. So right about 10% of the number 1 card. That's driving the average up. The booster box price isn't that high. Well, $352 is nothing to shake a fist at, but it's no Cosmic Eclipse, it's no, you know, Team Up. But it's at $352. So the average price versus the booster box price, I will tell you this, even though it's tier 1, like this is where you have to use your head as long as the math. To me, I'm still not putting money into Burning Shadows. I just don't think there's enough there, especially at $352 a box. Now, however, when I look at Ultra Prism, I think Ultra Prism has a ton. Look at that chase card. It's got a chase card at $283, which is huge. Cosmic Eclipse has a chase card at $134, and it's at $563 a booster box. Ultra Prism has a chase card at $283, and it's $391 a booster box. Ultra Prism, I think, is an opportunity to get in there. Cosmic Eclipse and Unified Minds, those two cards, their singles prices have been going through the roof. Cosmic Eclipse single prices in the top 20 are up 10% over the last couple months. Unified Minds is up 7.8%, which is just nuts as well. So I use this data, again, just to identify where I think it might be a good investment. I think Ultra Prism is a place to be. I've been big on Ultra Prism. I've been big on Cosmic Eclipse for the last 3 months for both of those too. So if you go back and watch some of my earlier videos, those were two where I called out and I just really felt like they were good investment opportunities. And now we see this. So we will see how this tracks further down the road. But with all of that being said, I'm going to link some of the older videos here for you guys to reference and for you to see where all of this spun up at. But at the end of the day, hey, collect what you love, find opportunities out there. Always look where other people aren't, right? Like Warren Buffett's famous saying is be greedy when others are fearful and be fearful when others are greedy. So right now, other people are being greedy in certain markets. You should be fearful there, but other people are being fearful in other markets, so you should be greedy there. So buy low, sell high is the name of the game. I hope you guys found value in this. I cannot wait to get that singles video out to you guys. It is just mind-blowing. You guys have an epic one. I appreciate you more than you know, and we will be talking soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye.